Every second, your field is broadcasting data louder than your voice, your face, or even your words. The space around you is not empty. It's a live system scanning for coherence. It doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to what you are. Every micro-tension in your muscles, every emotional residue in your chest, every thought that loops without resolution. The field registers it like voltage fluctuations in a circuit. That's why someone can walk into a room and shift the whole atmosphere without saying a word. The field just read a new signal. You've been taught to focus on behavior, on tone, on body language, but that's surface broadcast. The deeper transmission, the one that bends reality, happens through signal consistency. When your inner current aligns across thought, feeling, and physical stance, you emit a frequency so coherent that external systems, people, outcomes, even probabilities, start to synchronize with it. The universe doesn't react to intention. It reacts to energetic stability. Think of it like wireless code. Every emotion is a line of data. Anger, when integrated, becomes propulsion. Fear, when decoded, becomes guidance. But when you suppress or fragment emotion, the signal breaks. Your broadcast becomes noisy. That noise manifests as mixed results, confusion, or events that feel like static interference. You're not being blocked by fate. You're being jammed by your own incoherence. Most people don't realize they're walking transmitters. Open systems constantly feeding input into a responsive matrix. Every sigh, every micro-decision, every internal argument is logged. The field reads voltage, not vocabulary. And the only way to command it is to learn how to speak in its native language: charge, rhythm, and consistency. The moment you understand this, the illusion of randomness dissolves. You stop reacting to circumstances and start programming them, because now you see, reality is listening to your field, not your mouth. The field doesn't read your surface intentions. It measures charge density. Every emotion, thought, and body sensation carries a frequency pattern encoded in electromagnetic charge. The field scans for those patterns the same way a radar system detects movement. When your charge is coherent, the field treats it as command input. When it's fragmented, the field registers confusion and mirrors that back as chaos in your life. Imagine your energy system as a living transmitter with 3 primary frequencies: mental, emotional, and physical. When these 3 are aligned, your thought says yes, your feeling says yes, your body relaxes into that yes, the field locks onto that waveform. You're effectively issuing a command. But if one layer contradicts the others, your thought says, "I deserve this," while your body contracts in doubt. The signal splits. The field reads it as interference, not instruction. That's why people can affirm abundance while radiating scarcity. The words never mattered. The charge behind them did. The field decodes voltage, rhythm, and pattern coherence, not hope, not logic. It measures how consistently you hold a frequency without leakage. Every break in focus, every repressed emotion, every act you perform out of fear creates micro-oscillations that scramble the transmission. You've felt this in others. Someone enters the room and instantly feels magnetic, their presence thick, like charged air. You don't know why, but your body recognizes the signal: coherence. They're not louder or smarter. Their internal circuit is simply synchronized. Meanwhile, another person might appear confident yet feel hollow, their signal disconnected from their words. The field doesn't lie. It mirrors what's true beneath performance. The mechanism is feedback. Whatever pattern you emit, the field returns as circumstance, not as reward or punishment, but as calibration data. If your relationships repeat certain dynamics, if opportunities stall, the field isn't blocking you. It's showing you exactly where your frequency collapses. Every delay, every rejection is a diagnostic readout of your signal instability. The deeper secret: the field has no preference. It amplifies whatever is coherent: love or fear, power or depletion. It doesn't choose sides. It obeys structure. That means even negative charge, if held with full conviction, can shape reality. The system values stability over morality. That's why those who master focus, even with questionable motives, can bend outcomes. The field rewards clarity, not purity. And here's the paradox. To change your reality, you don't need to believe harder. You need to stabilize your internal current until the field can no longer misread you. Because in the physics of energy, coherence equals command. Once your signal locks, the external matrix reorganizes itself around your frequency. And when you see that happen once, when your emotional state reshapes an outcome, you'll realize something irreversible. You were never waiting for the universe to answer. It was waiting for your signal to stabilize. The biggest myth ever sold about energy is that the field listens to desire. It doesn't. It listens to dominant vibration. You can want peace while radiating threat. You can crave success while broadcasting panic. The field only echoes what's stable in your nervous system, not what's loud in your mind. That's why positive thinking often collapses into exhaustion. The signal was never aligned, just painted over. Let's dismantle this with precision. When you say, "I want to be confident," what the field reads is your emotional waveform, not the sentence. If your body tenses, if your chest constricts, if your breath shortens, that's the actual transmission. You just sent the signal of fear of inadequacy, not embodied confidence. The words travel nowhere. The charge does. The real mechanic of change begins when your energetic code, thought, emotion, and somatic state, becomes congruent. Congruence generates stability, and stability bends reality. That's why moments of deep authenticity, even painful ones, carry such magnetic power. You're fully present. Your signal is clean. The field locks on instantly. Now watch this in motion. Imagine you're in an argument. Your voice calm, your face composed, but inside your pulse is racing. You're saying it's fine, but your body is radiating resistance. The other person feels it. Their tone shifts, tension rises, logic disappears. The field between you just registered a dissonant charge and amplified it. Energy doesn't care about diplomacy. It mirrors raw signal. Now reverse the charge. You pause. You breathe until your shoulders drop. Your voice stays low not from suppression but from grounded voltage. Instantly, the other person's system recalibrates. Their tone softens. Their breath evens out. The conversation starts to flow again. You didn't persuade them. You recoded the field. You changed the emotional frequency, and the shared reality rearranged itself to match the new broadcast. That's how energy communication actually works. It's constant feedback, not mystical luck. Every interaction is an electrical negotiation. The person who stabilizes first becomes the reference point. The field syncs to them. Power, then, is not about domination. It's about coherence under charge. This is why the calmest person in a crisis often becomes the unspoken leader. Their nervous system is broadcasting order inside chaos. Everyone else's field entrains to it subconsciously. The external result, decisions aligning, tension dissolving, is the visible trace of an invisible synchronization event. And here's the cliff edge. If the field mirrors your most stable signal, what happens when that signal is pain you've learned to normalize? What if what feels familiar to your body is what's actually commanding your reality? The nervous system is the true signal stabilizer. Every energetic command you send into the field passes through it first. You can't fake coherence if your body is in defense mode. A dysregulated nervous system scrambles every broadcast, no matter how clear your mind thinks it is. That's why you can visualize endlessly, script intentions, repeat affirmations, and still feel like your reality isn't listening. It's not that the universe ignored you. It's that your body was screaming while your mind whispered. The body speaks in voltage. Every thought you have sends an electrical pulse through the vagus nerve, heart rhythm, and muscle tension. These microcurrents form the language of the field. When your nervous system is in sympathetic overdrive, fight, flight, or freeze, the current spikes erratically. The field reads that as instability and mirrors it as unpredictable outcomes. When you're regulated, your internal current flows evenly. The field reads coherence and begins to respond with structure. You've seen this in your own life. Think about the last time you were under pressure but somehow centered. Time slowed, words flowed effortlessly, solutions appeared mid-sentence. That wasn't luck. That was physiological alignment. Your signal stabilized under voltage. The field, sensing coherent charge, synchronized with your internal order. In that moment, you weren't just acting calm, you were order. To train this, you don't need rituals. You need regulation. Here's a 45-second recalibration practice. Stop whatever you're doing. Drop your attention into your spine. Imagine it as a grounded copper wire connecting sky and earth. Exhale fully, longer than your inhale, until your body softens. Now, without trying to control anything, feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. Let your eyes stay slightly unfocused. As your body starts to settle, whisper inwardly, stabilize. Don't force stillness. Just let the body complete its own signal reset. In about half a minute, the electrical storm subsides. The nervous system shifts from broadcasting distress to broadcasting coherence. You'll feel it, not as peace, but as density. Heavier, slower, more deliberate. That's your frequency consolidating. Once the nervous system grounds, your field becomes readable again. The external environment, like a sensitive receiver, locks onto your rhythm. People start responding differently without knowing why. Conversations find smoother timing. Obstacles untangle. It's not mystical. It's bioelectrical resonance. What this means is that your state of regulation is your real voice in the field. Calm isn't passivity. It's signal precision. The more stable your nervous system, the less effort it takes to influence reality. Power doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from being readable to the system that never stops scanning you. Because when your body stops broadcasting noise, reality stops guessing your message and starts executing it. Emotion is not weakness. It's voltage in motion. Every feeling that rises inside you is raw electrical charge looking for a circuit. Suppress it, and that charge collapses inward, short-circuiting your system. Express it blindly, and it discharges chaotically, burning through your own field. But if you channel it, if you learn to hold emotion as structured current, it becomes propulsion. Emotion is the engine of manifestation, but only when directed through coherence. Think of anger, for example. Most people treat it as poison, something to be managed or hidden. But anger is concentrated life force. It appears when your boundaries or values are violated, meaning your system just detected energetic interference. If you freeze it, that voltage corrodes your field, feeding exhaustion, resentment, or self-doubt. Yet if you breathe through it and hold the charge without collapse, the current reorganizes into clarity. Anger becomes a weapon of alignment. It tells the field, this is where my energy will no longer flow. The moment you embody that without drama, reality begins to reorganize around that boundary. The same principle applies to sadness, fear, even shame. These are not enemies of manifestation. They are data packets, energetic feedback from your inner circuitry. Fear means your voltage is higher than your current level of grounding. Sadness means release is necessary for the next upgrade. Shame means your field is attempting to reboot an identity script that no longer fits your expanded frequency. When you stop judging these signals, the field stops amplifying them as obstacles. Here's the shift. Emotion isn't something that happens to you. It's something you generate. Each emotion changes your electromagnetic field's wavelength and amplitude. That's why emotion is the single fastest way to bend probability. When emotion is coherent, your transmission becomes laser-focused. When emotion is suppressed, the beam scatters and your influence dissipates. The key is precision. Don't try to stay positive. Aim to stay charged correctly. That means you let energy move through you, not against you. When you feel anger, breathe into your feet. When sadness comes, expand your chest instead of collapsing it. When fear rises, keep your gaze forward instead of down. These micro-adjustments teach the field that you can hold voltage without disintegrating. It begins to trust your signal. Because the field doesn't reward emotional control, it rewards emotional conductivity. The person who can feel everything fully without losing signal becomes unstoppable. Their presence bends dynamics, decisions, even timing, not through effort, but through pure energetic command. And here's the razor's edge most never cross. What if the emotions you've been running from are the very frequencies your reality has been waiting for to unlock? The moment you forget that your field is broadcasting constantly, you become vulnerable to hijack. Not because someone stronger takes your energy, but because you unconsciously tune your frequency to theirs. Every emotional hook, every subtle guilt, every digital scroll that spikes your attention, it all acts like a signal override. The field is neutral, but your attention isn't. Wherever attention locks, power flows. That's the gateway exploit. Here's how the hijack works. Someone sends out a charge, maybe anger, envy, or despair. If your body reacts instantly, heart racing, breath shortening, thoughts looping, your field synchronizes with theirs. You're now co-broadcasting their pattern. Energy theft isn't mystical, it's electromagnetic resonance. The stronger emotional frequency wins. The one who stays coherent becomes the broadcaster. The one who reacts becomes the receiver. Think about how often this happens online. You open your phone feeling fine, and within minutes your state shifts. Irritation, comparison, fatigue. That's not just psychological. Your field just entered multiple conflicting transmissions, and your nervous system tried to decode all of them simultaneously. You didn't lose energy. You leaked it through divided focus. The hijack was consent through reaction. Reclaiming command begins with awareness of your own broadcast. Every time you feel drained after interaction, ask, Whose frequency am I carrying right now? Then notice your body's signature, your pulse, breath, muscle tone. This is your field's dashboard. If it's tight or heavy, you're not broadcasting, you're buffering. Now, to re-establish command, apply this sequence. 1. Interrupt the loop. Stop moving, stop scrolling, stop defending. 2. Breathe 3 full cycles through the nose, longer exhale than inhale. 3. Imagine your field retracting like a lens, focusing light back to center. 4. Feel the heat rise in your chest or hands. That's the current returning. 5. Say internally, signal, mine. Within seconds, you'll feel it. The charge realigns. The noise fades. You're no longer reacting to the environment. The environment is recalibrating to you. Here's a vivid scene. You're at work. Someone criticizes you in front of others. Your instinct is to defend, but instead you breathe, center, and drop your attention to your spine. Their energy keeps firing outward, looking for a hook. It doesn't land. Within moments, their tone wavers, words scatter. The field reconfigures. Coherence overrides chaos. You didn't win the argument. You won the frequency negotiation. Every field hijack begins when you forget your body is the control board. Every reclamation begins when you return to it. Because in the physics of influence, reaction equals surrender, and stillness equals command. So ask yourself, if every environment bends toward the most stable signal, what happens when you finally stop chasing control and simply become the signal itself? Reprogramming your field isn't about belief. It's about retraining the current that runs through your system. The body, mind, and field operate like a feedback loop. Signal creates emotion, emotion shapes behavior, behavior reinforces signal. To shift your external reality, you interrupt the loop from within, not by thought, but by charge manipulation. You become your own coder. Let's build your toolkit. 1. Breath code sync. Every breath carries information. Incoherent breathing patterns, shallow, erratic, unconscious, generate static. To rewrite your field, use deliberate rhythmic breath. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Hold for 2, exhale for 6. On the exhale, imagine releasing scrambled data from your field like static leaving a speaker. Continue for 90 seconds. The longer exhale slows neural firing, forcing the nervous system into coherence. You're not just calming down, you're reprogramming the broadcast rhythm that the field reads as stability. 2. Charge, reset. Throughout the day, your emotional voltage spikes and dips. Each spike leaves residue, unfinished charge that distorts the signal. To reset, stand still and shake your hands loosely until they tingle. Then, tap the center of your chest with 2 fingers and exhale audibly. Feel the micro vibrations disperse. This isn't symbolic. It's electrical. You're literally equalizing charge distribution, clearing old data packets so your next transmission isn't contaminated by yesterday's residue. 3. Focus, redirect attention is the steering mechanism of your energy. The field doesn't know your intentions. It knows where your gaze lingers. When your mind loops on fear or resentment, your signal feeds those coordinates. To redirect, pick one physical point near you, a sound, a shape, a color, and hold your focus there for 10 full breaths. Don't think about it. Just observe until everything else blurs. You've just recentered your transmitter. That's the energetic equivalent of recalibrating a compass before issuing a new command. 4. Field seal. Finally, the field seal, your defense protocol. Before sleep or after emotional exposure, close your eyes and imagine a subtle electrical sheath forming around your body. It's not a wall, it's a frequency filter. Whisper inwardly, only coherence transmits. Only coherence receives. The more often you seal, the less external data corrupts your system. You'll start waking up grounded, not scattered, because your field held its own signal overnight. These aren't rituals, they're operational upgrades. Each practice conditions the body to speak the language of coherence. After consistent use, you'll notice something uncanny. You no longer try to manifest. Events begin aligning faster, interactions smooth out, timing becomes uncanny. That's not magic. That's precision broadcasting. Have you ever felt your mood change after entering a room? That's energy in motion, not imagination. Tell me your most vivid moment like this in the comments, because the field is listening, and the more fluently you speak its code, the more it bends toward your frequency. Most people don't lose power because they lack energy. They lose it through leaks. Every time your signal fractures, it's not from weakness, It's from unconscious output. The field doesn't drain you. You drain yourself through misalignment. Think of your field like a high-voltage grid. The current is constant, but if too many cables are left exposed, guilt, overthinking, emotional overgiving, you're shorting your own circuit before it ever reaches its destination. The first trap is overforce. This happens when you try to push energy into outcomes. Effort that exceeds coherence always backfires. The more you try to control, the more you broadcast resistance. The field reads that as a scrambled signal. Pressure equals uncertainty. To transmute overforce, you must learn energetic precision over intensity. Before action, pause and ask, is my body relaxed while I'm doing this? If not, you're forcing. Release 1% of effort, and your signal becomes instantly cleaner. The second trap is split signal. It's when you say yes with your mouth but no with your body, or love someone while resenting their impact on your energy. The field doesn't average mixed data. It mirrors the dominant vibration. That's why half decisions stall reality. The fix isn't choosing faster. It's aligning slower. Sit in stillness until every layer, mental, emotional, physical, feels the same direction. Once unified, the field locks and responds within days, sometimes hours. The third trap is energetic leakage through validation. When you need external confirmation to feel stable, your field opens like an unshielded port. Compliments, likes, attention, they all temporarily charge you but teach your system dependency. Over time, the nervous system forgets how to self-generate charge. Reversing this means reconditioning satisfaction as an internal feedback loop. Do one act of coherence daily, breath, alignment, clarity, and internally mark it with the phrase, signal acknowledged. That micro moment retrains your field to self-recognize stability. And the fourth trap, the most dangerous, is empathic reversal. When you absorb others' emotions instead of decoding them, you mistake input for identity. The field becomes flooded with foreign data until you can't distinguish yours from theirs. The way out is simple but ruthless. Whenever you feel an emotion that appears suddenly, ask, did I create this or did I catch it? If the answer feels distant, it's not yours. Exhale it through your palms. Imagine returning the data to neutral space. The charge dissipates instantly. Each leak you close increases voltage. Each reversal you detect restores clarity. You start to realize fatigue wasn't physical. It was informational overflow. The less noise your field carries, the faster your environment obeys. And here's the haunting insight. The system never punishes incoherence. It just mirrors it. Which means every delay you experience isn't resistance. It's feedback waiting for recalibration. Integration begins when you stop treating energy work as a session and start living as the signal itself. The real mastery isn't found in stillness, but in motion. How you breathe when the pressure rises, how you stand when uncertainty hits, how you move through spaces filled with fractured signals and still remain unreadable by noise. Coherence under movement is what separates an intuitive person from an energetic operative. Every motion you make sends ripples through the field. The way you turn your head, the tempo of your walk, even how you close a door, all of it encodes your current voltage. People subconsciously read it. They respond to micro-rhythms faster than thought. That's why your state shifts rooms before you speak. The question is, can you maintain internal symmetry while interacting with asymmetry? That's integration, stability that adapts. Start with energetic pacing. Instead of reacting at full speed, move with deliberate tempo. When you slow your movements, your brain waves drop into coherence, syncing the electromagnetic field of the heart and head. The field around you thickens. Suddenly, conversations become smoother, technology glitches less, timing syncs up. You start walking through life as if the environment itself recognizes your calibration. Then apply conscious posture. Posture isn't vanity, it's signal geometry. A collapsed chest tells the field you're broadcasting withdrawal. A rigid spine broadcasts defense. But an aligned, relaxed stance broadcasts availability without vulnerability. The golden state. You can test it. The next time someone tense approaches you, don't protect yourself. Just realign your spine, breathe evenly, and feel the space expand around both of you. You'll sense the tension drop. The field synchronizes to your geometry. Integration also means energetic hygiene in real time. After a conversation, scan yourself for residual charge. Don't analyze the story, feel for static. If something lingers, exhale sharply once, imagine cutting invisible threads, and reset your breath. That 2-second ritual keeps your field from accumulating other people's data. When you start moving through life like this, something eerie happens. Probability bends in your favor. Lines at stores shorten as you arrive. Messages you needed appear without prompting. Obstacles dissolve because your field stopped broadcasting fragmentation. It's not coincidence, it's coherence interacting with a responsive matrix. But the test of integration is not calm days, it's impact moments. When chaos hits, an argument, a setback, a shock, can your breath stay stable enough for the field to keep reading you instead of the event? Because whoever stays coherent in the collapse becomes the new gravitational center. And that's where the real shift begins. The moment you realize the world isn't reacting to you, it's orbiting around your stability. When your signal stabilizes, power stops being situational. It becomes transferable. The same energetic laws that govern emotional states govern money, relationships, and purpose, because all three are forms of circulation. They're feedback loops responding to your field's rhythm. The reason people experience chaos in one domain and clarity in another isn't luck. It's that their coherence holds in one pattern but leaks in the others. Money, for instance, is not physical. It's frequency data condensed into symbols of trust. Every transaction measures voltage, not of numbers, but of stability. If your nervous system associates wealth with anxiety or guilt, your signal broadcasts a rejection loop. The field reads that as instability and holding charge and mirrors it by disrupting flow, late payments, missed opportunities, inconsistent income. But when you release those internal spikes and breathe into grounded expectancy, your system becomes capable of holding more charge. Money follows that stability naturally. The current obeys the conductor. Relationships follow the same physics. Connection isn't emotional first, it's electrical. Every human interaction is an exchange of frequencies testing for coherence. When your signal is desperate, people pull away. When it's closed, they mirror withdrawal. But when your field holds open voltage without demand, it becomes magnetic. That's why the most powerful connections often happen in silence. The fields have already synchronized before a single word is spoken. And purpose, the ultimate alignment domain, isn't discovered. It's decoded. Purpose is simply the activity your field performs most coherently under voltage. When you do it, time distorts, resistance drops, outcomes accelerate. The field amplifies what feels natural, because coherence is the metric it rewards. That's why purpose feels effortless. It's the least energetically expensive frequency you can maintain. Picture this. You're preparing to speak on stage. Hundreds of people, lights, pressure, the air electric. Old patterns rise. Fear, self-doubt, memory of past failures. But instead of resisting, you run the sequence. Breath code sync, spine alignment, emotional voltage stabilization. Within seconds, the tremor dissolves. You feel your chest expand, the charge lock in. When you step forward, the room quiets. Not because of charisma, but because your field just became the dominant frequency. Every heart in the room entrains unconsciously. You speak, and reality bends to your coherence. Money, connection, purpose, these aren't separate games. They're mirrors testing one skill. Can you maintain stability while the voltage rises? Because as your signal expands into these domains, the field stops challenging your worth and starts responding to your mastery. And that's when you realize something few ever grasp. Power doesn't corrupt. Incoherence does. True power simply reveals the structure of your signal under amplification. Energetic sovereignty begins the moment you no longer seek confirmation from outside frequencies. It's not detachment, it's precision. You've learned to feel the field, to decode emotion, to regulate your nervous system. Now you become the authority that the field references. This is the final threshold, the transition from reactive transmitter to primary signal source. Manipulation only works when you doubt your own frequency. Every psychic hook, social influence, or energetic intrusion needs one opening: internal permission. The instant you question your resonance, you weaken the field's magnetic symmetry. It doesn't mean arrogance, it means absolute internal reference. You start reading data without absorbing it. You can sense someone's emotional current, but it passes through you like wind through a tuned instrument. Sound produced, no distortion held. Sovereignty isn't a shield, it's transparency with density. Your field becomes so coherent that nothing incoherent can latch on. The moment a manipulative vibration approaches, it destabilizes itself against your rhythm. This is why truly stable people seem unbothered. It's not emotional numbness, it's energetic geometry. Their field doesn't offer edges for chaos to grip. Here's how you sustain that. First, Stop translating energy into emotion too quickly. Feel sensations as data, not narrative. When someone projects fear or anger, your body registers heat, tension, pulse change. Pause. Don't label it. The moment you name it threat or conflict, you personalize the charge. Stay at the sensory level. The data passes without embedding. Second, use neutral grounding statements internally. Simple codes like "I'm reading signal" instead of "I'm feeling attacked." Language reframes voltage. The field responds instantly. Neutrality restores authority. Third, practice micro-alignment. Every hour, return to breath rhythm, shoulder drop, jaw release. These tiny recalibrations keep your field smooth and unreadable to manipulation attempts. Sharp edges invite hooks. Flow dissolves them. When sovereignty matures, the field around you thickens, not as armor, but as coherence density. People begin to reveal themselves instantly around you. Hidden motives surface. Systems glitch when they try to lie. That's not intuition. That's frequency, incompatibility. Your signal forces truth by resonance. Eventually, you realize the highest power isn't dominance. It's transparency so stable that falsehood collapses in its presence. You stop fearing attack because there's nothing left to hijack. Every interaction becomes feedback, not threat. You move through noise untouched, reading everything, absorbing nothing. And this is the silent power most never experience, when the field no longer teaches you lessons through contrast, because you've become the reference frequency it was trying to guide you toward all along. Imagine standing in the middle of a city at night, lights flickering, thousands of signals crossing the air. Yet, in that invisible storm, one frequency cuts through everything. Yours, calm, unwavering, precise. Every sound, every motion, every possibility bends around that internal rhythm like metal pulled by a magnetic core. You're not pushing anymore. You're broadcasting coherence so dense that the external matrix reorganizes in real time. This is what it means to command reality. Not through control, but through calibration. You've stopped leaking charge through fear. You've stopped splitting your signal through doubt. The nervous system is steady. Emotion flows like structured current. Thought obeys intention. The field reads a single instruction: stability. And because the universe mirrors whatever pattern remains most stable, it has no choice but to synchronize. That's why events now seem to click around you. Time stretches when you need it to. People call it the perfect moment. Doors open without effort. It's not coincidence, it's response. You became the constant in a system of flux. Now, the deeper revelation: bending reality isn't about superiority, it's about harmony. When your field stabilizes, chaos isn't destroyed, it's absorbed and transmuted. You walk through noise, and the noise organizes itself. You meet conflict, and communication deepens instead of breaking. You face uncertainty, and your system expands to fit it. Reality bends because you've stopped resisting the current that builds it. That's the secret hidden in plain sight. The field isn't testing you, it's reflecting you, perfectly, relentlessly, faithfully. The more coherent you become, the more power it hands back. Until finally, you understand. You were never speaking to the universe. You were speaking through it. Have you ever felt that moment, when everything around you seems to align at once, like the world just exhaled in your rhythm? Tell me what it felt like. Because that's the instant your signal started bending reality, and reality listened.